Welcome to the Smart Business Show, episode 69. Today we are going to talk about conferences and networking events. So you'll hear a lot of people, myself included, lots of my work comes from referrals from other developers that, or other agencies that could do the work, but it's not particularly in their wheelhouse. So I get lots of referrals from membership sites from that because I have built relationships with them. Because in many cases we've met, right? I got to meet a number of my colleagues at an event called Beach Press a couple years ago, where I basically hung out for a week and a half, 10 days or so, on a beach, working in this huge house with 22 rooms and could sleep 37 people or something, and hung out. We all worked together, right? Big people were working on couches, people were working at kitchen tables, everyone was working off and on during the day, so it wasn't really vacation. There were some talks, and there was a lot of just networking, hanging out, right? You'd work for a little bit, go off to the pub with, go on a brewery tour with someone. So that's not the typical conference, but what about conferences and networking events? So the big thing to start with is sit with people you don't know. Say hi to the people you know, the people you interact with regularly, but what most people do when they go to a conference or networking event is they find the 3 people they've already met and they only talk to them. They don't go out of their way at all. And then they leave and they say, well, I didn't meet anybody new. Really? Of course you didn't meet anyone new. You put in really no effort again. This is back to the mediocre effort, which I talked about at the beginning. You put in a mediocre effort and thought, you'd meet that transformational person that would help your business? Not going to happen. You didn't even put the effort in. So the way to start putting the effort in is to look through the attendees list beforehand. Pick out 2 to 5 people. If you can be intentional with that. I haven't found, at least in networking events, local ones where there's not a lot of colleagues, I'm not sure about the businesses that are out there, then I look at that and I usually pick, say, 2 to 5 people that are likely to at least have coaching or development work that they need done. I'll pick them out, I learn their name, and then when I get there, I seek them out. That means that I come up, I wait politely, and I say, hi, I'm Curtis, and I introduce myself, and I say, you're Sarah, right? Or whoever. Jace is one of the last ones. So you're Jace, right? Is that how you pronounce your name? And then we asked about her business, her and her partner's business. I didn't realize she had a partner, so I got introduced to her partner. And they do corporate training. And so they do have smaller businesses that come that need business coaching that they do not do. Perfect for me. They work with huge companies. So I picked them out just really randomly in that case. They did training, it looked interesting, and I was intentional about talking to them. And I had a great, interesting conversation. The thing I did there is I asked a lot of questions about their business. We probably talked for 10 minutes before they, really asked about what my business was, because I kept asking questions and listening. And then when they handed me a business card, I pulled it out, I pinned it into my paper notebook, and I wrote down what we talked about, what was interesting, and that type of stuff. And they said, what are you doing? And I said, well, I wrote it down so that when I follow up with you, I can actually remember what we talked about. Because most people are never going to do this. You'll get a generic email or 0 email, and it was just a waste of your business card. But if you're going to give it to me, I'm going to make sure that it's useful to both of us. And they said, wow, I haven't seen anyone ever do that. So this was, again, not mediocre effort. The next thing to do is I identify the speakers that are worth your time and take notes on paper, not on your computer. The reason you take notes on paper, I've written about this before, is because taking notes on paper, you retain more information. When you take notes on your computer, you type them in, so your phone, your whatever, right? When you type them in, you're often taking more notes, which seems like a great thing, but what you're doing is just copying verbatim. If you're tested at the end on the material, you have less recollection. You haven't retained the information. When you write it on paper, you're forced to synthesize the information into points that matter to you. Even when you review your notes later, if you review the notes that points that matter to you, you will test better than if you simply copied it verbatim. Put your stupid computer away. Put your tablet away. Put the keyboard away. Sit down and take handwritten notes. The final thing you need to make sure you do is don't be the run and gun business card person. If you've been to a networking event, you know that. They walk up and they say, hey, I'm Sally or Dave or whoever. And they say, hi, this is what I do. And anybody have dogs? This is a good one. Actually, we had one at the last networking event. Anybody have dogs? And you're like, yeah, I got a dog. He's like, here. And he gave business cards out. And he said, hey, we do dog training, and walked away. I looked at it and was like, seriously? And everyone else pocketed it nicely. I threw it on the table and someone asked me and said, well, you're not going to take that? And I was like, no, it's a total waste of my time. He didn't ask me that, like, my dog's like 12. She's on the way to being dead. It's not worthwhile. And I was like, and anyways, even if I had a young dog, I wouldn't go with him. He just showed me he doesn't actually care. There's no relationship building there. He doesn't know what type of dog I have. He doesn't know anything. So he didn't spend any time building that relationship. So do not be the run and gun business card person. If I've identified 2 people, I take 5 business cards in with me. That's it. If I really need more, if they're in my car, I can go get them for something important. And that way, as people come up, and I've had this at the last networking event, talked to one guy, he asked for my card so he could follow up on my site, and I said, sure, and I gave it to him. And then someone else came along and did another run and gun thing. He's like, hey, do you guys have cards? And I just said, nope. And when he left, the person I had been talking to said, don't you have business cards? And I said, yeah, but I'm not giving one to him. There's no relationship there. Why would I waste my time with that? So when you're going out to conferences and networking events, again, be intentional, just like we talked about in episode 68. Put in a solid effort, not just mediocre effort, like we talked about in episode 67. And these are the ways I do it in conferences and networking events. Thanks for watching.